Welcome back, everyone, to the next set of rounds in our Top 16 knockout round. I've been your commentator, Delta,
Hello, I'm your other commentator, Alba.
and it looks like we're going to immediately get straight into things here between Pixelmon FR and Starlit Korea. It looks like, there we go. I'm looking at this. I believe it's CK Dolls and Mugung coming up first.
Now, these teams do have some history already. They were fighting in the same group back in the group stages. And I do believe Pixelmon FR won that, I think.
We'll have to see whether or not this actually
I might be wrong.
continues, or if Pixelmon FR goes ahead.
This, of course,
Um,
Pixelmon FR is our third seed currently. Pixelmon Scarlet Korea is our 14th seed.
I see. We'll have to see whether or not. We'll have to see what happens here.
So far, every match has gone about as the seeds would have predicted. I don't think it's Mugang, I think it's CK Dolls. CK Dolls and Svartpest. Yeah, it's CK Dolls and Svartpest.
Now this is interesting. Um, we don't get insights into their teams just yet, of course, due to how the preview works.
Never mind, I was wrong. They have not fought yet. I don't know why I thought they fought. I do believe both players are currently in the preview screen.
Now this is going to be interesting. I wasn't quite able to see past statistics on what exactly they went for, but depending on how it goes, Svartpest could be going with a more bulky team, or we could be seeing some major hyper offense. It's a bit hard to say for sure.
We did see some hyper offense from Pixelmon Scarlet Korea back in the group stages. They were one of the few teams that managed to break through um, the stall meta. I believe it was they're one of the few people that managed to break through Astral MC's stall. Did so through hyper offense. We are going to start. We do see a Melmetal and Glamora lead.
I would say right now this is a bit interesting as Double Iron Bash will immediately trigger Double Iron Bash immediately triggers the toxic spikes.
We'll actually
However,
we'll actually trigger two layers if this is a focus sash Glamora, which many are. Um, but will also mean that they can immediately take out that Glamora in the first turn. The Glamora is threatened, but at the same time, Glamora likes to be threatened, likes to be hit. It wants to be hit. So we'll really see if CK Dolls is willing to immediately get rid of the Glamora to set down that two layers of spikes, toxic spikes, or if they're perhaps going to switch them out to actually allow them to have a bit more use later in the.
while that is true, something else to consider is we don't it could be a completely different set. We don't know if this is I've also seen Choice Scarf and Choice Spec sets on Glamora that try to do a little bit of extra damage before they go down.
I do think Glamora gets access to Earth Power, but I don't, especially with non-stab Earth Power, with a full special attack invest specs Earth. I don't think he'll do that much. Many Melmetals do like to run Assault Vest, and even when they don't, they do have a lot of bulk, as we do see the Stealth Rock come out and two layers of spikes. That's exactly what Glamora was going for. As on turn one, we have Stealth Rocks and two layers of spikes set. I do hope Svartpest has a Hazard Clearer, because if they don't, they're in for a hell of a game.
Even then, sometimes it could be a bit hard to bring something like a defogger in, as oftentimes because they're a few specific types, fire and electric types kind of pop off. The only major exception would be a rapid spinner, but in a situation like this, rapid spin is by no means common.
Keep in mind, Cinderace is unbanned in this tournament, and court change is completely legal. We've seen that once, I believe, in this tournament in the group stages. It is possible that that might be something that Victini does come on field and will likely threaten this Melmetal. One of the few things that I think can actually break through Melmetal's extreme bulk.
The question remains, though. I'm looking at the HP here. Um, is this a final Gambit set potentially?
I'm unsure. We've seen a couple of Victinis in this tournament so far. Yesterday we saw a choice band Victini, and I remember in earlier group stages there was a stored power Z celebrates Victini as well. So there hasn't really been much of a common through line in Victinis in this tournament so far. So it's quite hard to say.
I will
Either
say,
way,
chances are, if it is something like Z Celebrate, it's a bit. I would say it's a little bit hard to pull off here since you are risking an earthquake.
yes, I would say if it is a Z Celebrate set, it is very much banking on Svartpest, assuming that this is a either Final Gambit or Choice Band V Create set, as that's
All right, yeah,
exactly what
bring in
it
the
is.
Lando.
That is exactly what it is. As Victini goes for the Z Celebrate, Svartpest switching out, assuming that a V Create or Final Gambit was coming their way. Victini does go for the Z Celebrate, that will make it quite the force to be reckoned with. Victini does also get access to multiple ice type moves as well, and may be able to threaten this Landorus.
That is true. We also have to consider how much damage potentially stored power could be doing. It might just outright KO with stored power, although I highly doubt it. Given I think it'd only be like
This,
what 120 power.
yeah, does go for the stored power. Does
There
do
we
a
go, going for stored
considerable
power, not high enough to
amount.
KO though.
Landorus does
A
go for the
critical hit.
Earthquake. I think that probably would have killed anyway. Um,
Um,
but the Earthquake does come out.
I do think the crit potentially mattered. Keep in mind it was +1 defense.
They also could very much matter on the specific investment of that Landorus as well.
In
As
comes the Alolan Ninetales though. Are we looking at a Scarf set or are we looking at something else?
it might be Scarf, it might be Light Clay Aurora Veil, and just wants to threaten.
There we go. In comes the Cinderace. Are we gonna see a court change? Court change would be devastating here.
It does go for the court change. That is going to be very, very big. As most of the time, if you're running a Clamora, specifically with the intent to set hazards, you are not going to be running a defogger because you do not want to get rid of the hazards that you set. There might be a rapid spinner on their team, but they also very much might not. Ninetales does go for the Encore, which will cause court change to happen again, which I do believe means hazards are back on Smartpest's side.
While that is true, something to keep in mind is that I don't know if Ninetales does get any particular trapping moves here. If
Not
it does,
particularly.
it
I think that was just to get them to use court change again. Torterra will come back on field, coming in safely as the court change happens after it switches in.
also are we looking at I think we're looking at Shell Smash Torterra as well. Being forced to court change here will mean that they're either forced to swap or go for it again, and chances are
I
either way it'll
Either way, this Torterra is gonna get the Shell Smash basically for free if it is running Shell Smash.
I'm almost certain it does, as most oftentimes, I don't think there's much else this Torterra can do. And I love
Oh, I
Torterra to
love
death,
Torterra,
but
yeah.
it is not good and competitive
Torterra is
usually.
the. I'm sorry if anyone's watching disagrees, but you're wrong. Torterra is the best starter for. You're just wrong if you disagree. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
He's the best
Going
boy.
for Bullet Seed actually.
Ooh, interesting. We'll be able to take out that Landorus though. As it actually hits all 5 times, it's very likely a loaded dice Torterra. Either that or they just got insanely lucky.
Something I'm a little concerned about is the fact that only did that much after 5.
It was intimidated. And also it's neutral
While
against
that's
Landorus.
true,
And
that's
also
still a
Landorus is
little.
usually a defensive Pokemon. So
While that's true, that was literally like I want to say 20%. I'm that does make me a
it doesn't
little
concern me too
worried.
much. This is a that was probably a defensive Landorus's most star. It was intimidated. It was only hitting neutrally. Cinderace will come back on field. It is no longer on court. It does now threaten this Torterra out. As I was gonna say, unless it's Focus Sash. If it's running Focus Sash and it hit all those bullets, then that's the right Tisk will come in. It does get badly poisoned by the toxic spikes, but will get
Fireball comes out. The
the
burn has been denied thanks to toxic spikes. I do think that is an attack increase, meaning this
yes.
next Pyro Ball, chances are it's likely going to either KO. Oh, okay.
Label
Rapid
comes
Spin
in as
comes
Great Tusk
out.
does go for the rapid spin that will clear the hazards, making it safer. I did say that
Something
I
I'm
hope they
not
have a
entirely
hazard.
certain out. Does Unaware put booster energy into account?
I don't know because it's not considered a regular stat boost. Either
There we
way,
go. Earthquake.
the earthquake will come out. It will do just over half, but it doesn't really matter as the moonblast will come out from the cradle, taking risk. Veil is now gone. Man, the amount of damage that Pyroball did in the Great Tusk behind Aurora Veil.
Oh my god, wait, something I just realized. I could be wrong with that Aurora Veil going off. I do think the Aurora Veil actually was switched during that court change.
That might the wow that I don't know if that's a thing that is that a thing that happens?
I mean, it's the only way I saw this Clefable get the Aurora Veil.
Was it Clefable's Aurora Veil? Clefable's Aurora Veil
Yes,
wore
it
off. Yeah,
was.
yeah, you're right. I didn't know that was I didn't know that was a thing. This affects
Question,
barriers like Reflect, multi-turn effects like Tailwind, and Entry Spike. Oh, the more you know. Ninetales will come in, going for the Encore, but the Clayville does switch into the Melmetal. And Ninetales goes for one last desperate attempt before it inevitably dies to this Melmetal, setting up Aurora Veil before dying to Double Iron Bash. As the Torterra does come back in and goes for the Shell Smash. It is behind Aurora Veil. Melmetal goes for Toxic, and it misses. That's going to be quite big, as this Torterra is behind Aurora Veil and did basically just get that Shell Smash completely for free. Nice punch would have hurt this a lot, even behind the Aurora Veil. Perhaps this Metal is not running Ice Punch.
what is? I'm more curious to see how much damage this oncoming Earthquake is going to do.
Remember, the Landorus is dead. I don't know if Svartpest has another flying type. They might not have a safe switch in here. And I don't know if Melmetal lives this. Although it is incredibly bulky, this Torterra is a +2. Earthquake comes
Earthquake
out,
comes
it
out.
will be enough.
It's a no-go.
Does Fartpest have an answer for this Torterra?
There we go. In
Rotom
comes the
Wash
Rotom
comes out.
Wash, but we saw Bullet Seed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are looking at a loaded dice set.
Rotom,
Rotom
this is
tricking the choice scarf.
it is now
That is
locked into
devastating.
Bullet Seed. Question: it could be devastating, but is there anything? Okay, so we do have the Cinderace on field now. Um, Keep in mind this Torterra is behind Aurora Veil, but it also has a negative defense now. Is it in danger of a Pyro Ball? Presumably, calcs are going to be done behind the scenes. Um, Torterra does go for the Bullet Seed because it is faster. Is it enough to kill? Hits four
Not
times.
quite.
It's not quite. If that
And Pyro
choice
Ball
scarf,
lives.
oh, it lives the Pyro Ball though. You do already know that this Torterra is faster with that choice scarf and the speed boost. Cinderace will not live another Bullet Seed.
I will say most Cinderace do run Sucker Punch, though. Is that the case here? I think we
We'll have to
saw
see.
only Pyro Ball and Court Change.
If it
I'm probably
doesn't, if
thinking
it doesn't, then Svartpest may well have just screwed themselves over, giving that Torterra the choice scarf. As the Bullet Seed comes out again, there is no Sucker Punch. There's no answer as the Clefable comes on field. I don't know if Svartpest has an answer for this.
technically it does. Do keep in mind with
Clefable
Bullet
will go
Seed
down.
comes out. Was this magic? I wonder if this was Magic Guard. That did a lot of damage.
Darkrai will now come on field. Is there a Darkrai doesn't get any priority moves? I think it's over. It is over.
Oh my god, it did.
The Torterra will sweep. CK Dolls winning the first fight. Um, Taking on their first point against Pixelmon FR. Remember, this is a single elimination bracket. It is a first to two rule set. If Pixelmon FR lose this next match, they are out of the tournament. Pixelmon Scarlet Korea will move on. This will be a big upset if this does happen, as currently Pixelmon Scarlet Korea is the 14th seed and Pixelmon FR is the 3rd seed. They lose this, this will be a very big upset. A
I
very,
will
very
say,
good
I'm
first
wondering.
showing, though.
I will say, chances are, if that Toxic didn't miss and there was one final Pokemon remaining, I don't think there would have been a fully successful sweep.
Probably not, but also in the same breath, that Darkrai might have been scarfed, and if it was, it would have been able to kill that Torterra if it wasn't for the fact that a scarf was tricked onto that Torterra, making it even faster. It is very possible that Svart shot himself in the foot there.
It's hard to tell whether or not how any kind of play would have made that much of a difference. Torterra is menacing. Any kind of Shell Smasher is menacing when you let it get away with it. I've even won tournaments with stuff like Cloyster, which is certainly not nearly as popular as it used to be. I will say between Mugung and Zenter, this is interesting.
The whole thing with
Both of them are
with
fairly respectable and have run quite a different variety of teams. Let's see what happens here.
the whole thing with Shell Smashers is that they are they are very, very strong, but they are really, really volatile and extremely risky. Reason why they're not like top meta all the time, unless it's Mega Blastoise, which is too much, but we don't talk about him, um, is due to the fact that they are so risky compared to other setup sweepers. They can have stupid damage output, but really, the risk behind them is often not enough to warrant their use. However, even a setup sweeper, a shell smasher, sorry, like Torterra, can sweep a team if you let it get away with it. Which is exactly what happened, and why that Torterra was able to just clean out the entire opposing team. Both players do seem to be ready.
And it looks like they are currently in that phase.
Yeah, we are
There
starting.
we go. The battle has begun. And we're seeing a very similar lead setup here with another of Scarlet Korea using Glamora here against Zenter's Landorus.
I kind of want to. I just I remember the Z Celebrate Spion. I want to see that again.
We'll have to see whether or not that actually does make a return. I would say it's slightly less likely, although
I will also
given the
comment that
track record with
that was a hyper offense team we just saw from CK Dolls with the Glamora and the Ninetales acting as support to allow for the Z Celebrate Victini, the Shell Smash Torterra. Um, likely the other two Pokemon there were either hyper offense setup sweepers as well, perhaps another support Pokemon behind the scenes. Are we going to see a similar thing from Mugung here?
that is true. Do keep in mind, we've had quite a couple of strange leads in the past. While these two are fairly standard, we could be seeing something entirely different. Um, what I'm more curious. Oh my.
We will need to have a restart with a same lead, so we will still see a Glumora and a Landorus lead, but uh, one of the players unfortunately forgot to select a move. And from what we do see from that first turn that did go out, this Glumora seems to have the exact same game plan as last time. Going for the stealth route.
Hmm. It looks like I think we're still waiting for them to end the battle here. Minor technical difficulty. There we go. It looks like the battle is restarting. Hopefully, we have all the Pokemon here. Chances are we are going to, with the
Yep,
current rules in place, we do know what's going to happen. Earthquake, bringing out the Focus Sash, although I highly doubt it matters. Um, as
stealth route comes
Glamora
out. Yep.
sets up rocks, chances are, what happens here is entirely uncertain. We could be seeing U-turn, or we could be seeing defog. We could even just be straight up seeing a KO with Earthquake. It's hard to say for sure.
Anders going for the
There we go,
second
just
earthquake.
outright trying to KO here.
Very
And it looks like we
potentially,
have doubles.
it might not have a U turn because U turn was obviously the better choice there. But also in the same breath, it might be choice locked Because
If that
I don't
is the
believe that. I
case,
mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think Landorus is faster than Glamor.
that is true. We could be. I do think it does depend though. Gamora doesn't have the highest speed.
It really depends on what sets these both Pokemon are running. It could be it could be Scarfed. It might have full speed invest. It's really hard to say. The Tapu Lele will come out on field though, and those hazards are on the opposing side. This Landorus might have default.
We could be looking at a fast utility set or a choice scarf set. It's hard to say for sure. In comes the Tapu Lele though, which could be interesting. I don't think it is immediately threatening a KO from this range, even with the psychic terrain. But it is a little bit hard to say for sure what move they're going to go for here, as both psychic and Moonblast could be coming out. I'm trying to imagine what kind of team Zenter is running. Is this potentially a balanced team, maybe? And it comes to Pharaoh, as Halucha comes back in. This could be dangerous, as it'll be tough to say what exactly Ferrothorn goes for here. Leech Seed is nice, but Halucha can run the substitute set, and I'm not
Very
certain
risky.
if
Bringing in a Pokemon like Halucha this early, because Halucha really shines at late game cleaning up when half of the Pokemon on each team are dead and there's nothing really left to oppose it. Bringing it out this early is potentially risky, as there may be multiple things on. Because remember, once that Psychic Seed is gone, it's gone. You can't
that
proc on Burden again. So we'll have to see exactly how well this will pay out.
What something I'm wondering is if it is coming out this early. I'm wondering if this is less to do with trying to end the game with it, but more rather trying to open up a good amount of the team. Something to keep in mind is that yes, the Landorus is out, still available, of course, but it's hard to say for certain how much it'll do when Halucha is going to run Swords Dance at any moment.
I don't think there's much as Ferrothorn can do to stop it, aside from maybe using Toxic or Thunder Wave. Ferrothorn
That
will
is
come out
true.
bringing
It
in the
comes to
Toxapex
Toxapex.
as the Halucha goes for the substitute. Toxapex
Now
will.
this
I
is
don't think you can break through that substitute in a turn. Take 2 turns to break through that substitute.
in addition, even if it goes for something like Haze, it can just he can continue acrobatics can just continue to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So it obviously all just comes down to personal preference here. Is Zenter going to go not Zenter, sorry, is Mugung going to go for Swords Dance in the face of this Toxvex, or are they just gonna start trying to go for damage?
Either way, I think this Toxapex is not a good choice here. This is not a Pokemon that can easily break through this substitute. It will take 2 turns, which will mean that if Mugon goes for Swords Dance here, and you don't go for Haze, then that's another turn that the substitute stays up unhurt, and Mugon can kind of just control the battlefield here. Because if they go for Swords Dance here and the Toxapex goes for Scold to start breaking down that substitute, then an Acrobatics is going to really quite threaten.
There we
Swords
go.
Dance
And
does
comes the
come
Swords
out, and
Dance.
the Haze does come out.
Again, Psychic Terrain isn't really going to provide much impact here, as Halucha is a flying type, and neither of them really use priority. It all depends on what each of them are going to go for here. Do you go for another Sword Stance and risk a Haze, or do you just start trying to click for damage? I'm wondering if this Toxapex is potentially Rocky Helmet as well.
No, it's not PixelmonGo versus Unlinked. Um, that title is there because I'm the streamer and I don't have control of the account. I only have the stream key.
There we go. Sword Stance
So
comes
I
out
can't
once
actually
again
change the title.
as Toxapex goes for Skull, trying to take the damage. It
Ooh.
is taking it out in
Oh.
one.
Either way, this Hawlucha now does threaten his Toxapex. Toxapex will either be forced to switch out or just go for a haze. Either way, it is taking big damage.
Hmm.
If it stays in here to go for a haze, it's going to take big damage and potentially get itself in a risk of being cleaned up from another acrobat. But if it switches out, something is taking a big hit. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm fairly sure. One Swords Danced acrobatics and one regular acrobatics will be enough to kill this Toxapex. I'm fair.
By all
Lucha
means,
does go
going
for another substitute.
instead. Does Toxapex try and fish for a Scald here?
Goes for haze.
No, instead of choosing to haze.
That would have been very, very good if this Toxapex tried to go for a Toxic there or switched out into something else, but unfortunately, I think that was kind of a wasted opportunity. Gung there. They could have started really putting punishment into this Toxapex. As the Sword Stance comes out again.
Comes out once again as Toxapex probably goes for either another haze or another Scald, either of which would be pretty bad.
Luch is now in a point where it can't. I mean, it can substitute again, but it really does not want to. You're in the same place you were 2 turns ago, but you're at a bit less health than before. With the acrobatics will come out, it will do over half. First place goes for the haze.
We can't something we can confirm now. I don't think it is Rocky Helmet, or at least if it is, it's bugged. I sincerely hope it's not bugged, but I'm also not seeing recovery item. This is potentially boots I'm looking at.
So the acrobatics did come out. It did do over half. I do not believe another one will be enough to put this Toxapex in the ground.
Actually, I do think it potentially could be enough. If I'm looking at the health here,
that'd be a roll.
Certainly I agree. It would be a roll.
Yeah, I mean, if that Swords Danced, acrobatics did around 2/3 and has a third left, just around, then I'm fairly sure another acrobatics would be a roll. Either way, do you really want to keep this Toxapex in?
Certainly
Does
not.
go for Sword Stance again, expecting the switch out. This could be big. Depending,
I will say, this might be one of the best checks ever to Zapdos to Hawlucha. Going for that raw damage for acrobatics, as Zapdos likely goes for a Volt Switch, probably back into Toxapex.
Will kill the Hawlucha. This is why you don't bring out Hawlucha so early, because the Zapdos obviously checks it. The Toxapex checks it to an extent. It really prevents it from building up any momentum, and could potentially, depending on how you play, if you play around it wrong, it could just beat you. This is why you don't bring out an Unburden user so early. The Zapdos will bring it. Of course, the Zapdos did Volt Switch out, so the Landorus will come in, taking rock damage.
Intimidate activates on literally nothing, as Tapu Lele immediately comes back out to threaten. We did see the Ferrothorn earlier.
Does Mugang perhaps have Focus Blast or Hidden Power Fire and expects the switch? It is notably slower than the Landorus. I think that's almost guaranteed that Landorus is Choice Scarf. Ferrothorn will come in as the Psychic does come back out, doing very little damage. And that's basically confirming that.
I'm wondering if this is potentially a specially defensive set, at least by that surprising lack of damage Ferrothorn took.
I think. Well, I mean, it is a resist. I'm unsure. It did do quite a not very much at all. But it is a resist, so we'll have to see. We have seen a special defensive one here before, and it did control the game due to the amount of special setup sweepers on the opposing side.
It's a tough call to make. Zender very much controlling the field right now. We could also be seeing potentially a different set as well. This might not be Choice Scarf. We could be looking at Fitinium Z. Although I imagine with that Psychic, dropping the special defense there is pretty good. Stealth Rock allowing the
Feeling that it is not Choice Scarf, it is not Choice Specs, likely not Fitinium Z's. It would have gone for it. I wonder what this type of lid is.
I will say I've sometimes seen Tapu Lele on Psy spam teams, although that's certainly a more common archetype in doubles.
Because I mean, the common Calm Mind set normally runs Fitinium Z as well. I don't think it's a Psychic Terrain setter, because I mean, it could be. That Psychic Terrain did last for quite a while. Could be Terrain Extender specifically for the Hawlucha.
Could also be for something. Oh, there goes the focus mist.
Yep, and the Jarble comes in and kills it. Yep. Fortunate. Blaziken.
Blaziken.
Will threaten out this Ferrothorn, will not need to go for Protect here, can probably safely just go for a Swords Dance.
And unlike something like Hawlucha, something to keep in mind is that with this current situation, not even Lando will eventually be safe once it starts going for +1. Um, certainly a +1, as we could be watching Lando come in to try and check it. Or we could just be outright seeing a KO.
Yep, Landorus does come in as the Blaziken goes for Swords Dance.
This is currently +1. There's no way for that Lando to recover, and its damage output, although slightly reduced from what it could have been, still very much better than it was before. With the speed boost activated, we do know that this. I'm pretty sure Landorus is still slightly faster, unless we potentially see a Protect coming out. Chances are, I do think Lando does survive and take this Blaziken.
Oh, the Blaziken goes for Flare Blitz, doing huge damage. Not enough to kill, though. But this Landorus does not have recovery. That Landorus is in very, very, very bad shape, but the Blaziken does go down to an Earthquake. Katarine will come in. Mugang losing multiple Pokemon at this point, by the way. Katarine does come in.
Probably. I don't think Hatterene does get priority. I'm interested in seeing what it goes for here. Obviously, trying to do a special KO.
The Earthquake comes out. Does do
well
big damage.
Half.
The Draining Kiss comes out just enough to finish off that Landorus.
Saw a little bit of lightning there.
I'm wondering. I'm gonna go run the calcs in that. That Flare Blitz. What HP was that Landorus at?
I will say right now it is at 300. Well, it was at 357. I'll tell you right.
Was it full? It was full.
No, not quite. It took damage from Stealth Rock, I think once or twice, which
Yeah,
is.
it was two stealth rocks.
In comes the ooh, in comes Darkrai. This could be interesting. If it falls asleep, that could be pretty bad. Although I'm not certain how much damage Dark Pulse or Ice Beam could be doing. Could we be looking at a Sludge Bomb potentially?
Essentially, I also don't hope we see a Z Hypnosis, as that will be bounced back. Although that would be funny. I actually asked this yesterday because a similar thing happened yesterday. Say Hypnosis gets bounced back, does it affect a Dark type?
I don't believe it does. No, but even then, just going for the raw speed increase could be a difference maker.
Hmm.
Although in this game, it's hard to really say for sure. In comes the Hoopa as Dark Pulse comes out and does well over half.
Faster here? I don't think.
Darkrai is absolutely faster. I think Hoopa Unbound only has like 70
Yeah.
speed.
Super Unbound on the trick. Like just at that threat. Darkrai will actually switch out though. Going for the Focus Blast. Does do a lot of damage on the Zapdos, but enough to break it.
That's actually kind of interesting, choosing to bring out a special attacking
Yeah.
Hoopa of all things as well. Psychic
I know
Terrain
it does
finally
have
ending. I think we can confirm now it
the
was a
terrain
Psychic Terrain
extender.
team.
Yeah. Um Choice specs does exist on Hoopa Unbound, but it's usually for 1v1 sets, not the full team sets. The second Focus Blast does come out and will hit and will take out that.
I would say, judging based on that, it is the spec set. However, I would probably expect even I would probably expect Darkrai to KO here.
Yeah, I'm surprised it switched out, to be honest. Medicham will come in though. Undoubtedly a Mega Medicham.
Yep, in comes the
Goes
there
for
we go.
Fake Out,
Fake
almost
out
enough
enough
to.
to
It
KO.
does kill. Mugong's team is being taken down one by one by one. I think there's very few Pokemon left in that team as the Hatterene does come back out.
I would say with the I would say with Psychic Terrain gone, Bullet Punch is relatively free here, at least if it's running it.
Ice Punch
Choosing to
does
go
come
for
out.
Ice
It's
Punch
not enough.
instead. How much damage is this going to recover?
Ooh, that actually brings it to a
Certainly a
better
lot.
point than it was before. And almost killing that Medicham. Medicham will die to another, and I will be. Oh, but it will be unable to break
Oh
through, but it does
my!
get the freeze. That will be enough. If this hatchery, I think that is very big. That is very, very big.
And with
It
four
will be
Pokemon
enough to
remaining,
break
Victor will
through.
beat Mugung,
I mean,
leaving
I
things
think
at
they were
1 to
probably
1.
winning anyways. They did have 4 Pokemon left, and that was their last. But still, that freeze is. Yeah. All right. We are now at 1-1 to both teams. We have one battle left for you, and this will be the deciding match. Whoever loses this is out of the tournament. We have the team manager of Pixelmon Scarlet Korea.
I think it's Geumu versus
Yeah, Guillermo is manager.
Chemistry.
Same person. We do have manager against Kamisi. Um, both teams are ready. The I've already seen manager has done some very, very good calls in the past. Honestly, probably one of the reasons that they managed to qualify, keep my Pixelmon Scarlet Korea, is the 14th seed. They managed to squeeze in, but just barely. One of the reasons that they did manage to get in was the very, very brilliant performances we've seen from manager.
And it looks like I believe they are starting it up. This could be interesting. As a reminder, if you are watching the stream, do remember to select all of your Pokemon before you enter this battle. And it looks like we wait with bated breath. This is 1-1, correct?
Yep, we're at
Oh,
1-1. Whoever loses this fight is out. As we see the third Lamora from Pixelmon Scarlet Korea as the Slowbro comes out on field.
no, this is actually a little bit interesting. This is the first time I've seen Slowbro of all things as a lead, potentially trying to bait the Landorus, maybe.
Unsure.
Um, something that might be a little interesting here is I'm wondering to see how this interaction will go.
Moore goes for the
Going for
Mortal
Mortal Spin,
Spin.
actually.
Does take the Scold. We're likely to see a stealth rock here, and also this is likely going to be someone in the chat did just say likely going to be the third hyper offense team from Pixelmon Scarlet Korea. Oh, it's nice to see. I like the Ninetales will come out. This is definitely hyper offense team. The Ninetales will come out. Threatens with a freeze dry. Going to be able to safely set up a Veil of a Wish.
While that is true, if this Slowbro survives, he goes for another Scald. Burning here would be kind of bad as it significantly hampers Ninetales going for the Aurora Veil. Slowbro going
will
for
go
the
for the
teleport,
slow
trying to
teleport.
regenerate its health. What I'm beginning to wonder is how much damage will be coming out. In comes the Heat Ran. I don't know if Magnastorm will KO. I'm certain the Fleshkin will, though, but it's hard to say for sure what this Heatran is going for.
I do expect this Ninetales to likely switch out this as something will be able to come in pretty safely, especially if it's a resist behind an Aurora Veil on Heatran, a Pokemon that usually doesn't have a large amount of special offense investment. It can, but it's not too common. Usually, you want to have significantly more investment into its special defenses and HP. As the Glamora will come out as the Magma Storm comes out. We'll trap the Glamora and we'll also kill it this next. Um, However, Glamora
That
does
is
threaten a
true.
KO with Earth Power. I don't believe this Heatran came out with an air balloon. It did not. Will threaten a potential KO here.
While that is true, at any moment you just pivot out into the Slowbro. Although, do you want to allow Stealth Rocks to be set up in this instance? Either way, chances are you deny the Toxic Spikes.
Heatran will switch out, bringing the Landorus in.
That's actually a surprisingly interesting choice. Are we looking at Scarflando is what I'm wondering? Or are we looking at a standard defensive set,
Potentially,
allowing
I mean, remember the
Gamora to
last
get
team
one
used
final?
the last Landorus on the last Pixelmon FR team was Scarfed. Although the teams haven't been too congruent on Pixelmon FR's side, it very much might be Scarfed. If it's not, then this Glamora will likely outspeed it unless this is a fast utility set. But that's not too common in National Day. And if it's not, then this Glamora may get another turn to do it at once. And also, if this Landorus does kill it here, we will get a layer of spikes set up. We don't know if there's a Defogger or Rapid Spinner on Kamesi's side yet. We do see the Mortal
There
Spin
we
come
go,
out
going for
again.
the Mortal Spin
Will poison
poisoning
the Landorus.
as Landorus goes for what? Going for
Defog.
the Defog.
And interestingly, Aurora Veil just wore off as well. So I don't think that is. I don't think. Does Defog clear Aurora Veil?
I can confirm, at least from past experience, it does in fact clear any kind of
Oh, yeah, it does.
screens.
I've just never used it for that. Gamora does go for the Stealth Rock, expecting to die this turn as the Landorus goes for the U-turn, taking out the Glamora, but also setting another layer of spike. We do have one Stealth Rock and one layer of Toxic Spikes on the field.
That is a lot of Pokemon, I believe, that have been poisoned. And I will say, I don't think I've seen leftovers yet, although I could be wrong.
I don't believe so.
And if that is the case, any kind of damage on Landorus is permanent. Out comes the Heatran, taking a little bit of chip damage from Stealth Rock. Although it does remain to be said, what comes out to try and threaten this Heatran?
We've only seen two Pokemon from Manager's side, only the Glamora and the Alolan Ninetales. The Alolan Ninetales is not safe to come back in and reset its Aurora Veil. If it does so, it will die. So it's very likely we're going to see a more offensive option here. We do, as the Great Tusk does come in with the attack boost from Booster Energy.
Now, this is interesting. Great Tusk does commonly run Ice Spinner to check things like Landorus. Is that what we're going to see here, or is it going to go for an immediate KO with something like, say, Earthquake
Well,
or even Close
I
Combat?
was gonna say I think a close combat would be good here, as the Slowbro does come out taking a big chunk.
I'll say it now. Another Earthquake will be enough to just outright KO
Yeah,
unless it goes for an immediate pivot.
I mean it will have to if it wants to live. Likely wanting to pivot into the Landorus, another Earthquake. Once again, the Landorus may not want to switch in, as this is a Great Tusk, as you did say. It can run an Ice Spinner specifically, but and also I don't really think I mean, Landorus will defensively check the Ice Spinner, but I don't think Landorus can really threaten a Great Tusk that much unless it's running Zed Fly, which is so uncommon. We do see the Ice Spinner come out, as they do predict the Landorus switch. Hard switch. Very risky on that Slowbro going for the slow switch. But also, we do
However,
now
that
know that
risk
this
does
Slowbro
pay off.
cannot. We do now know that this Slowbro cannot hard switch in any to Great Tusk.
That poison truly coming in handy here. Um,
Find anything else that wants to come in. Obviously, the Landorus is going to be immune to the toxic spikes, but it doesn't matter. It poisoned through Mortal Spin. The Heatran can come in, but then it's threatened by the Great Tusk. Um, and it will be immune to the poison as the Tapu Lele comes in. Does get hurt by both the Stealth Rock and the Poison Spikes.
well, that's certainly
Looking
a
at
good way
to
to
threaten out
negate
this
any
Great
kind
Tusk.
of.
I think it's. I think even Scarf or not, I'm fairly. I might be wrong, but Lily's just faster. Even base.
Not quite. I do think Great Tusk is faster unless it's not Scarf. Although I would imagine with Choice Scarf being its most common set, we could very much be seeing that. Although we've been surprised in the past.
No, Tapu Lily is faster. Great Tusk is base 85. Tapu Lily is base 90.
I see.
Oh, base 87. Either way, it's fast. Um, so even if this is a non-Scarf Tapu Lele, doesn't matter. This Great Tusk is threat.
Now, naturally, with Great Tusk immediately be threatening by ground or not ground, sorry, psychic or fairy. It's tough to say what they go for. It could be Focus Blast for all we know. It could also potentially be a completely separate type.
At the same time, as manager, what you don't want to do is you don't want to bring space for that Landorus to come back in and just clear the hazards, because hazards are very, very strong. The Magnezone will come in taking actually quite a big chunk from that Psychic. This is a Psychic Terrain boosted Psychic. It does take a very large chunk, but will threaten the Tapu Lele out, granted at the risk of taking high damage.
While that's true, at any moment, Landers can come in. I don't know what set it's running. It could be running the especially defensive. But I would imagine it probably doesn't want to take a flash cannon
Ooh,
here.
Landorus comes in as Magnezone goes for Endure.
With an Endure failing, that doesn't mean it can go for Endure
Yeah, it
again.
can. That will mean that
However, I think
Landorus
this
that
defog.
isn't. It is running leftovers, but that toxic damage will not toxic poison damage will start to whittle down that Landorus. So, um, it can go for potentially go for another one again, but we might just see a defog come out from this Landorus expecting a switch. Yep, that's exactly what happens. Um,
This Landers is now free to Earthquake and immediately remove its main Tapu Lele check. And that is pretty devastating. I think the only way Magnezone is able to really do anything here is if it goes for the double. Either way, I would imagine Earthquake would be dealing
Does go for the
huge
double,
amounts.
does fail as the Landorus goes for the U-turn, expecting a switch.
Quite a reasonable play, I will add. But what comes in next? Could see a Tapu Lele attempting to go for either a neither psychic or there we go,
Heatran will
bringing
come
in
in.
Heatran. I'll say it now. I don't think I think Heatran might have been actually the best play, as even if they go for Endure, chances are Magnustorm will just KO after. Although I could be wrong. This is the first time I've actually seen an interaction between Endure and Magma Storm.
No, I think that will break through Endure. Because it's like Leech Seed damage at the end of the turn. Magnezone will hard switch out, bringing in the Great Tusk as the Magnastorm misses, giving this Great Tusk opportunity to do what it wants. Heatran will be forced out, and something's taking damage. Slowbro does come in as the Rapid Spin comes out, getting that speed boost. Will be enough? Will that be enough to actually outspeed the? No, it won't be enough. It'll need to use another Rapid Spin to be able to outspeed the Lele. But that Slowbro is still in danger of dying from another Earthquake. It is in range. It does
I'm
stay
not
in.
entirely certain.
Oh, it would have died from the poison damage, but it doesn't matter because it is going to switch out with Teleport, which will prevent it from taking toxic poison, whatever. As the Tapu Lele does come back in, and the Great Tusk only has one speed boost, it will not be faster. Would have needed a second Rapid Spin to be faster than this Tapu Lele and be able to check it. Very unfortunate. If they actually went for a Rapid Spin that turn, they might be able to just sweep, actually. They would have been able to take out the Tapu Lele with an Earthquake. They would have been faster, and they would have been able to take out the Landorus with an Ice Spinner. They probably would have genuinely been able to just sweep if they went for Rapid Spin there.
It's a bit hard to say for certain, as keep in mind, its attack booster is gone, meaning
Yeah.
any kind of damage it does is weakened by a
Does
pretty
decide
decent
to
margin.
stay in and does die. Very unfortunate. Maybe very big for Pixelmon FR here. Losing that Great Tusk is really, really going to hurt. Can manager Ninetales comes back, likely looking to set Aurora Veil to make space for something else. Not be
While
faster,
that could be
but
the case,
I don't believe Psychic is here.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is. Ninetales is pretty frail, and it is in psychic terrain. If it's like I want to say around a base 117, if I'm doing my math right, at the very least somewhere around that range, I would not be surprised if Alola Ninetales just faints here.
I think if it does, I think that's probably it for manager. I don't think there's way out of it. Heatran will switch in as Ninetales goes for the Aurora Veil.
Going for Icy Wind here,
Likely
as
just
He-Man
trying
sets
to
up
get
Stealth
any
Rock.
chip they can. And also maybe the freeze. I think it can freeze.
Not quite. Icy Wind will reduce the speed of all Pokemon that are hit by it.
Ah. Very
I
interesting. I wonder what they're going to bring in then. Ninetales does go
Oh,
for the Encore. This is Heatran will be basically forced out as it's useless for the next 3 turns.
I would wager even longer due to the speed differences.
Good question. Who is who? Heatran belongs to Missy, sorry, from Pixelmon FR, and the Ninetales belongs to Gyumu, also known as manager of Pixelmon Scarlet Korea. No, the title is not correct. I'm unable to change the title. I am the one streaming, but I'm unable to change the title as I only have access to the stream key, not the actual account. I cannot change.
There we go. In comes Victini.
As the Mega Mawile comes out, or presumably Mega opposing side, Victini will be able to threaten this Mawile. Pixelmon
That is
Go did already fight, and they beat Unlinked 2-0.
something I'm a little uncertain about here is what is going to happen in this interaction. All of the stab provided by Mega Mawile is going to be resisted by Victini here. And if this Victini goes for something like Z Celebrate, chances are not a lot of damage is going to be being dealt here. So I'm wondering how this interaction is going to actually work. There we go. Heatran coming in as McTeeny goes for the Z Celebrate. The snow has stopped, although I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. How much damage is this stored power potentially going to do?
I don't know, but also at the same time, do you want to? Because I mean, does it have a fire type attack in there? Not fire type attack. That wouldn't be. What can this Victini do? Because a fire type attack very likely won't do anything if this is a flash fire one. Focus blast comes out, but it misses. That might be
Oh,
very, very bad. The
oh,
toxic
certainly.
does come
Toxic
out.
goes through.
This Victini is now on a timer. But this Heatran is now in danger as well.
While that is true, at any moment, you just pivot to Lando, and chances are you're not only weakening any kind of impact from stored power, you're also allowing a better pivot into something like Focus Blast.
Also, I did say in the chat, but to just make sure you heard, if you want to know when the exact like YouTube upload times are going to be, I don't know. The best person to ask would be Lanky, who's on the Discord, which you can find in the website. Focus Blast does come out, does do quite a bit of damage, as the Earth Power comes out on the opposing side, not doing that much, but matched with the toxic damage, it will hurt.
I certainly don't think much can be done. At any moment, Heatran can just decide to pivot out and continue to keep on switching until this Victini is defeated.
It's unfortunately maybe it for Pixelmon Scarlet Korea unless they can weasel their way out of this situation.
I could be wrong. Is this their final Pokemon?
I don't.
When it comes to Slowbro,
It's certainly one of the last Pokemon. Slowbro does come in, taking the focus blast and actually taking a huge chunk of damage, but not. In fact, no, it does die. It dies to the poison damage.
very much allowing for something like Tapu Lele to come in.
Mawile
Or the
will come back
Mawile.
in.
I'm almost certain this dies to Sucker Punch.
Certainly. Especially at its current health. Maybe not at full with that defense. Current health value, very unlikely to live.
Now this is gonna be interesting. What is gonna happen next? Sucker Punch. I think this could just be game, set, and match here. Although I could very well be
And he
wrong.
does
We do
come
have one
out,
final
bringing the
Pokemon,
Ninetales in.
Ninetales.
Sucker Punch does come out. Or does obviously fail. Potentially bringing the Victini out to reset the Toxic timer, but I don't think it matters that much. The Heatran will come out. The Encore can't do much. The Roar Veil comes back up, and Toxic misses on the Ninetales. As Victini comes back on field, but dies to the Stealth Rock and Toxic damage. I think that's it. I do think that's it. I do not believe Manager will be able to wriggle their way out of it. But the Torterra!
We have
Oh,
Torterra
the boy!
again!
I swear to God, this is the second setup sweep from this fucking Torterra, man. If Torterra wins 2 games here, I'm gonna be gobsmacked. The Torterra in the back does come out. Can this Heatran threaten? Find Kimesi still has multiple Pokemon: the Landorus, the Tapu Lele, the Heatran, the Mawile. The Earthquake does come out, taking out the Heatran. No Shell Smash yet.
While that's true, Landorus not only threatens with things like U-turn, I do think there's still something else on the field that threatens it. I could be wrong. Um, it's a bit tough to say for certain what would have happened if they did choose to Shell Smash. Toxic would have allowed for a little bit more extra damage over time. However, I'm wondering if it would have been enough for a clean sweep.
Rillaboom does come on
In
field.
comes the funny monkey, and I do think chances are grassy terrain likely will be enough to KO Torterra potentially, especially if it's -1.
Well, it hasn't Shell Smashed yet. It's currently still, and keep in mind, Torterra is kind of a defensive beast, and it is also behind an Aurora Veil still. And we know this is likely running Earthquake. Well, it is running Earthquake. We know if it's anything like the other Torterra, it's running Bullet Seed. I don't know what that last move is. The Torterra is a Pokemon that gets many they're very good coverage. I believe it gets Poison Jab, and I believe it also gets X Scissor. It has quite a lot of options potentially. Potentially. What it's actually running, I don't know. I think the Torterra will be in danger from this Rillaboom if they do go for that Shell Smash, but as long as they don't, they'll probably be fine, and you might be able to take out this Rillaboom. But at the same time, I don't know if this Torterra will have the room to actually sweep the team as the U-turn comes out. Actually doing a huge amount. As the Landorus will come in as the Shell Smash does come out.
I will say this does invite Rillaboom to come in and go for another Grassy Glide.
But also the Rillaboom
Of course,
cannot
this Landorus
hard switch in. Cannot hard switch in. If it hard switches in, it's likely going to die from potentially whatever this Rillaboom is, this Torterra is using.
I highly doubt it, as most times Torterra runs Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, and Earthquake. The only thing that can probably safely threaten would be Rock Blast, but keep in mind this is +1 instead of +2. Bullet Seed comes
Will
out
take out the
enough to KO the
Landorus.
Landorus. Torterra is steadily restoring HP. The grassy terrain actually slightly helping it survive.
Yeah, and it is still behind an Aurora Veil.
Oh my god, you're right, it is. We'll have to see how much damage Rillaboom will be able to
Keep in mind,
deal.
there's also the Sucker Punch from the Mawile to worry about as well. We'll have to see. This might be a close game, folks. This Torterra is a menace on the field. And I think is the Ninetales still alive?
I don't believe so, although I could well be wrong. Psychic terrain preventing grassy terrain could be important here. We'll have to see though. I'm not certain if Torterra is faster here. I could be wrong. I will say chances are if it is Choice Scarf, this could be it. I do think Tapu Lele is slightly faster here, and I'm almost certain a Psychic, although it might not be enough to entirely KO, does open it up for
it will
Rillaboom.
definitely, Rillaboom or the Mawile, yeah. Psychic will bring it very, very low, and also the special defense drop as well. The Bullet Seed will come out. As the Rillaboom comes back on field. Yeah. This Torterra is in very big danger.
Torterra certainly made things a little more even.
Keep in mind, the Ninetales is still. Grassy Glide does come out, will finish off the Torterra.
I think Heatran is still alive. Unless I
No, Heatran died. It died to the.
It died. Okay, if that's the case, that is a major check.
The Mawile is still up.
That is true, but
the Ninetales is still alive. I don't know if they have anything else. I don't think they do. I mean, they're taking a while to select, so they might genuinely have not just the Ninetales. They have not selected the Ninetales immediately. They are taking a moment. I think they're deciding between who they want to select. I think the Ninetales is not the only Pokemon remaining. I do not think this is yet in a guaranteed place from Commissy. Ninetales will come back on field. I'm expecting a pivot into the Mawile here. Not wanting to risk anything. Well, the Rillaboom might be in range to kill, it also might not be, and the Mawile's absolutely safe. Rescue Light does come out, and will be enough to kill. I was about to say will not be, but it will be. And also that is Aurora Veil gone. As Magnezone comes back on field. I think this is the last Pokemon, and I do believe this is probably it. I do not believe Manager can wriggle their way out of this, unfortunately.
If there's a will, there's a way. We could see some
This might be,
incredibly
I don't know,
crazy play.
choice scarf, hidden power fire, sweep the whole team. I don't know. Will die to a
Looks
grassy
like it's just
glide.
going to go for a grassy
Um,
glide.
that will be it. Pixelmon FR will be moving on, and Pixelmon Scarlet Korea will be knocked out of the tournament.
That game was surprisingly
That
close,
was
though.
surprisingly close, yeah.
I'm actually a little impressed with how well Torterra's done. That you don't really see that often at all.
And Pixelmon FR will be moving on to our next round. Pixelmon Scarlet Korea, unfortunately, will be knocked out. Let me just go check who they'll be fighting next. They will be fighting the winner between Astral Pixelmon and iPixelmon. I
Now that is certainly an interesting dilemma to be made here. Do tune in tomorrow as we have two matches I believe going up. Of course, iPixelmon versus Astral will be coming in. But we do also have one more. Let me confirm it really quick. I believe it's Poke Galaxia versus Poke Cafe.
I
We'll have
do.
to
I
see.
don't believe we have any more matches for you today. I do believe that's all the matches for today. I think it was only the one today. I believe. Check the
I
schedule.
will say if that's the case, I've been your commentator Delta.
Yeah, before I say anything, I'm just actually making sure I'm not speaking up my. Let's see. That is tomorrow. Yep, that was our only match for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you wish to support the Pixelmon World Cup in any way, put anything into the prize pool, support the tournament at all. There is a sponsorship segment of the website. Go check that out. Thanks to all the teams that came here today to fight. As well as thank you to all the organizers and refs as always. Of course, I am Alba, commentator.
I've been your commentator Delta, and I
I
hope we continue to see you tomorrow and the next series of matches going forward. We'll see you all then.
will see you then. Bye bye.